concept of case management, and we call those folks industry specialists. And we've done this very deliberately because in the past, before we started doing the deep work in this, our case managers had to have all the knowledge of all the sectors of any person who might come to them. So, case manager had to know healthcare, and they had to know manufacturing, they had to know biotechnology, and it's just impossible. Especially as those sectors become more and more technical, and in order to really help somebody, you need to know the technical side of those industries. So now our case managers are actually organized by industry. They play on a regional platform, so they play across our 6 counties. They're not just based in one location. And we have people who are specialists in healthcare, specialists in manufacturing, specialists in business. And it helps too as they help us develop our relationship with business. And then at the end of this game, we now have employment and retention specialists, and that's a pretty new effort for us, because what we examined was about 2 years out, because of the recession, people who were even coming through training were ending up in a big bubble at the end for us. The scale of the numbers of people our workforce area services, for instance, we just finished our annual report, we had 92,000 people. So we were moving lots of people through, but we were really having a jam up at the end. So our board said we really need to have a new strategy, and we added this end game of having people who their whole focus is moving into employment and then retention. You can get a person a job, but how do they keep the job? So retention was a really big deal. The results on this, the year before we did this, we have maybe 600 people, about 500 some people entering employment. We had just over 800 to right under 900 people just a year later entering employment from our system. So we actually know that this strategy works. Then kind of taking care of the whole thing, we have 2 positions in our system. One is called community coordinator, and one is actually a business coordinator. And the community coordinator really takes care of all of the relationships in this. So we've actually built our whole system around this work. And I lost my last. So, closing for you, and maybe you'll get into this, maybe you won't. But our message is, all hands have to be on deck. If this seems like a good idea and you don't have anybody to play with, I say don't play, because you can't. At the Workforce Development Board of South Central, we tell everyone we do nothing alone, nothing. If we don't have a partner, we don't do it. We usually try to have a financial partner too. The other thing I always say in this work is, before you go out of the gate, have a financial model. Know how you're going to actually finance it. This is not about a wish and a prayer. This is about, you got a really deliberate financial plan. You got 1 or 2 really good partners who want to play with you. The other thing about this work, and I have told people at the highest levels, Department of Labor, Department of Workforce Development secretaries, if you do this work, you got to stick with this work. It can't just be a good idea you're going to do for a year, because you're not going to see results in a year. You'll see little scale results, but you have to really work at it. It is really, really hard work. It's not for the weak of heart, and Marjorie will tell you that. You get into it and you will go through periods of time where you just feel like you're kind of sludging through almost, right? It's really, really hard work, but it is absolutely incredibly rewarding. We've had people who have come out of, especially the stackable credential, who just go, wow, you've really changed my life. We've also had people, and this is something we've never anticipated, who, before we actually got at scale on this, would go into regular programs, they'd find out about this, and they'd actually jump ship from the regular programs, because this is a just-in-time model where you can do it on a really fast schedule. So somebody can actually finish a lot in a year versus 2 years. And then the last thing is, you'd really have to make a big commitment to work with industry. And working with industry means you're also willing to listen to industry, and sometimes they're going to tell you things you don't want to hear. They're going to tell you, if you really get into a candid relationship, they're going to tell you what you might not be doing, the way you really should. And it's because they see the products of our work. They see the people who we believe we're preparing in for work, and they're trying to retain them. So you have to be willing to really listen carefully. I always say the biggest gift that I can be given is when I get to sit in a room of industry people and be the fly on the wall. You know, to sit in the corner, let their conversations take over the room, and you really get to hear what it is you need to hear.